Hello.
Hello, is Tom available?
Speaking.
Hi, Tom. This is Doug from the Voodoo Lounge here in beautiful central Wisconsin. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, brother. Thanks. Just want to take a minute. Thank you for being on the show. We're proud to have you.
Hey, no problem, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. And you know, one more time, thanks again. Hey, I got to tell you, I've been playing the CD on the show. I picked that thing up a while back. And I've been telling everybody, man, it's the best record on the planet.
Oh, thanks, man. That's nice of you to say. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, like I said, the minute I picked it up, I was knocked out. I'm just trying to spread the word, brother.
Oh, cool. Well, I appreciate this. I appreciate you playing it, man, and the support. I really do.
Well, absolutely, brother. 100%. Hey, man, I know you're out doing gigs. You're out touring. How's the tour going? How's the band looking? You know, how's that stuff treating you?
Oh, man, it's just been a blast. It really has. I've got this incredible solo band out with me, and my wife Savannah's out with me, who also co-produced the record and wrote a lot of the songs. So we're just having a great time, you know. And the show is a nice mix of the Cinderella classics or hits, if you will, and a bunch of stuff up a new record. And the fans have been amazing, and it's just I feel very fortunate.
And how's the stuff from the new record going over? I mean, when you're doing these shows, do they know the songs? And are they getting behind them?
Yeah, they do. It's we had a couple singles released. You know, the Flower Song had got some pretty good top 40 airplay on Sirius, and Solid Ground and Cold Day and Hell had a lot of FM rock plays. So they particularly those songs are quite familiar, but they, it's, the reaction ranges, if it's our own shows where we're headlining, obviously the reaction's greater to the new stuff. On some of the festivals and stuff, where we're with a lot of different artists, the Cinderella stuff obviously goes over a little bit better. The new stuff's a little less familiar, but we even get good reaction at those festivals too to a couple of the new songs. So
nice.
It's been cool. It's been cool.
Yeah, very cool. And, man, there's some good hooks on that record. So I would imagine, I would guess that that stuff is catching on pretty good.
It's seeping out there, man. There's a lot of stimulation in our society today, so I think it takes a little bit longer for people to grasp onto music, or I just think it takes a little longer these days. So
sure. And I would guess between the last Cinderella album and this album, marketing has probably changed. Promotion's probably changed. Have you noticed a bunch of differences in that doing this record?
Well, it's, I'm very fortunate that when we finished making this record, which we produced it on our own without a label involved, but when it was finished, after 10 years of laboring over it, we decided to shop it to labels for marketing and distribution, because we didn't want to do that. I don't know anything about that. And we found an amazing label with Maravi Records, who are distributed through Warner ADA. So we've got a very committed label. And, in a lot of ways, things are different, but they're very much the same too, because radio is still a very big driver. So, I've been fortunate that my label has committed to, a lot to radio and worked radio very hard. So, there's still the big drivers are touring and press and radio are huge drivers. But now we have this extra thing that's huge, which is the social media and the internet and all, which I've learned about over the last year and a half. I now have a Facebook and a Twitter. I resisted all that stuff for years, but I've actually been running my Facebook and Twitter and really enjoying it. It's a cool interaction, and it's a very powerful mouthpiece as well. So that's the most different thing, in terms of marketing, I think, is that, we have all the standbys of radio and touring and press, which are, I think, every bit as important today. And then we have this added bonus of the internet and social media, which, has its drawbacks as well. With obviously, music's a little more disposable or considered to be free or given these days by a lot of people. So that creates challenges. So, yeah, different world for sure.
Sure. And, man, you brought up this record took you about 10 years to make. I'm guessing that, I would think the advantage of taking your time, taking 10 years, picking your songs, whatnot, you end up with a record with, 12, 14 killer songs on it, as opposed to, just a bunch of singles, which seems to be kind of the trend anymore these days with iTunes
Yeah,
and whatnot.
I think, there's two mindsets. There's the mindset of you just put a couple strong songs on a record, and then there's the mindset of making a record that's like a whole body of work that's more of like a journey or a kind of an entire piece of work, and that's how I've always approached making records. And then, it's just what I grew up on, so that's all I know. When I listened to a Stones record when I was a kid, or a Zeppelin record, or a Rod Stewart record, the whole records were great, and they weren't all the same song. They had dynamics. They'd go from a ballad to an up-tempo to the emotions were different from song to song. And the dynamics and the feel of the music was different, and that's just what I grew up on, and that's what I've always tried to do when I'm involved in making records, is to kind of make this whole thing. So
yeah, well, and I mean it's the ebb and flow of the record. It's that picking that song order is as important as writing the songs,
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, we've always spent a lot of time working out that running order or sequencing on a record because, it's weird. Sometimes you put certain songs in a certain order, and the first one will sound great, and then the second song sounds too slow. And you'll go, I didn't think this song was that slow. But that's only in perspective or relative to the song that went before it. So sometimes that song that felt a little slow in the running order, if you change the song that's in front of it, now all of a sudden it feels right again. So it's and key change, our songs are in different keys, so there's a lot of considerations, but at the end of the day, it's how it feels. But the reason they feel different is because of tempos and keys and that kind of thing. And you got to it's like a puzzle putting it together, and it'll wear you out because, you got to sit and listen to all those different orders and make a decision, as to what really flows and works and does each song justice, because one song in front of another can kind of take away from each other if it's not the right combination of songs,
Yeah, well, and I think that's really important. I'm with you on that. I think the wrong order of songs on that album can take a really good album and, make it a perfectly average album. I mean, it's no different than putting together a set list for a gig. There's an art to that stuff.
So yes, that is an art. It definitely is.
Yeah, man. Hey, one thing I want to make sure I ask you about before I forget. When I picked up that album, I'm listening to it. We get to the last track, Babylon, and I'm like, that is Bobby Keys on saxophone. I know it is. Now, I'm a Stones guy, dude. I'm with you all the way. I think Keith Richards is the man.
Yeah.
How cool was it to work with Bobby Keys, man?
Oh, it was great. I met him years ago, like I think in the 90s, because he's really good buddies with Andy Johns. Actually, Andy passed away last year, but they were very good buddies. And, Andy produced Stones and Zeppelin, and he did a couple of our records, and Andy and I were very close. And I met Bobby at his place years ago in the 90s, and we actually did a gig together. I think it was at the Whiskey. And it was like Nicky Hopkins and Bobby Keys, and I think James Kotak was playing drums. And Steve Lukather might have been playing guitar. It was kind of like this combination of musicians that Andy put together for a benefit thing. And that's when I first met Bobby, and he was very cool, just what you would imagine, big, tall Texas guy, and just a badass, and plays his ass off. And that was a real thrill to play with him then. And then when we recorded Babylon, this is fast forward years later, when we were working on the record, I heard him. I had a sax solo being on that song, and I'd heard Bobby Keys lived in Nashville, or spent a lot of time here, and I called up Andy and I said, "Man, do you think Bobby would come over and play on the track?" And he's like, "Well, of course he would. Yes, absolutely, Thomas. I'll give him a ring." And he set it up, and Bobby came over, and just wailed, and Savannah and I were sitting there just blown away, like, wow, Bobby Keys is in our studio. So it was very cool.
That's fantastic, man. Hey, I saw I saw Cinderella. I don't know. I mean, it's probably 10 years ago or something, maybe a little more than that.
With Cinderella.
Yeah. It was at a festival here in Wisconsin, and you guys had the most killer guitar tone of any band I've ever seen.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely, yeah, dude. I mean, I ain't even lying. That's killer, man. What kind of? I mean, I'm a guitar geek, dude. What kind of rig are you running to get that kind of voodoo flowing out of there?
You know, I've always loved and have always played through live the old Marshall 100-watt super leads, like the early 70s ones. They've been like my main staple, and I've had a ton of them over the years. And I usually carry 5 or 6 of them on the road, and just kind of rotate them because they're kind of like a little high maintenance, like a high octane race car. You know, they go down quick, so you want to have a few of them on the road. But that was my first Marshall when I was a kid. I remember walking into a music store, and I had just seen Styx on the Grand Illusion tour, and that's what Tommy Shaw and J.Y. were playing through, and I was front row getting my face taken up by those Marshalls, and they just sounded so great. And I went into the music store a couple of days later, local, and they had one sitting there, you know, and the guy who owned the store pulled an old Les Paul off the wall and plugged me into this early 70s Marshalls and cranked it up. It was the first time I ever played through one. And I remember thinking to myself, why would you want any other amp? So I mean, they're the most versatile, and I usually have that, and sometimes like a Fender Bassman on the road, and now in the studio when you're painting different colors and stuff. I mean, I have a huge amp collection. I've collected them over the years, and I've got lots of Gibson Tweeds and tremolo amps and Champs and Fender, and all kinds of cool things that you bring into the studio just to get like kind of like maybe that one special color or something. But live, the old standby for me are the early 70s Marshalls. It's what I'm playing on the solo tour. It's what I've played on all the Cinderella tours, and they're just a good. You can get just about any sound that you need out of those.
Well, that's a ticket, man. I mean, keep doing what you do, man. You got some killer tone. That's rock and roll tone, dude.
Well, thank you. That's a big part of rock and roll, man.
Well, yeah, man, and I'm not going to talk amps with you and let you get out of here without talking guitars. You taking all the vintage axes out on the road, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I've still got like all my vintage stuff that I've had for years. Everything from like Gretsch Silverjet to my '59 Paul to Tellys and some cool acoustic stuff, and my Resonator, National Steel from like it's like from the 20s or the 30s or whatever. That's my Johnny Winter influence there, which I was really kind of, by the way, broken up a few weeks ago when he passed away. That really hit me hard. But this year on tour, I got a couple new axes, and they're reissues. I've got a reissue of a black custom Les Paul, and I got this really cool 3-pickup Firebird. It's a reissue of a Firebird 7. It's kind of like a taupe color that I've been playing on the road. And Gibson's just been making incredible guitars. Their reissues and the guitars they're making now are just amazing. So both those guitars just sing. And I've also been playing a Trussart Telecaster, those metal guitars.
Yeah.
And those things sound incredible. I've had one of those on the road too. It's one that it's funny because I've seen them on the wall in stores for years, and I'll always say they're made out of metal, right? And they'll go, yeah, they're. And I go, I don't even want to play it. That can't sound good. So I walked into Guitar Center a few months back or earlier in the year, and there was one hanging there that looked so cool. I said, I got to try that guitar. So they pulled it off the wall, and I couldn't believe how good the thing sounded. I kind of had just thought every time I saw them before, there's no way an all-metal guitar can sound good. So,
right.
But when I plugged it in, I was blown away, and it's probably one of my best-sounding guitars. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, it flies against everything you know about guitars. It's all about the wood. It's all about the wood. And here they come with a metal guitar. Why would it sound good, right?
Yeah, but there's something about, because it's hollow and it's got that rosewood neck, and there's just something about the combination of the way it's designed and the materials. I'm telling you, it's sick sounding. It really is.
Well, yeah, you were a guest guitar player on that metal show, and I saw you on there playing it, and that thing sounded killer, sounded fantastic.
Yes, yeah, and that was a good tone on there through that EVH, the Firebird and the Trussard and the Black Custom. Those are my latest children.
Cool, man. Cool, very cool. Hey, stock question number one. You're Tom Keifer, you're driving around. Now, when I'm driving around, I listen to Tom Keifer. What do you listen to? What are you listening to, man?
Well, yeah, I always listen to the classics and my old favorites, and but there's some new stuff that I really like. I've been liking this band One Republic. They got some cool songs, and also Imagine Dragons. I've really gotten into that record of theirs, the most recent one with Radioactive and Demons on it. I think they remind me of a lot of things that I grew up on in terms of they're a real mix of a lot of different like classic elements to me when I listen to them, and very, very cool band. Let's see, what else have I been digging? Bruno Mars, I love. Hailstorm on the heavier side or the rock side. I love that band. So lots of stuff, lots of cool stuff.
Cool, man. I tell you what, I'm gonna wrap this up for you here real quick, Tom. But I gotta ask you, I gotta know, because I sincerely love this album, and I gotta know, you got another one in the hopper? You planning anything?
I haven't been thinking about it all that much. Just been so busy. We're still out supporting this one, and we're starting to take dates for next year because the label's still committed to working the record through next year. So I'm going to be on the road with my solo band. So it's not something that I'm really, I might just be starting to get a glimmer of thinking about, hey, maybe we'll do another one, but not really anything really screaming yet, but I'm always writing, something here or there, which you never know where that'll end up. But when I get inspired for an idea, I write. So I find the best way to do is just write as they come, not like, hey, I got to make a record now, I better sit down and write it. So I try to write along the way.
Yeah. Did you have a lot of stuff left over on this record here?
From the solo record, yeah, there's some stuff. Yeah, there was a pretty big pile of songs I'd been writing along the way, as I said, for years before I made this record. Probably from about the years of about 1995 through about 2004. A lot of these, so yeah, there's quite a few things laying around.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot, Tom, man. I know you're going to be out on tour. You're going to be in my neck of the woods before too long. I'm hoping I get a chance to catch you out there, man. I dig the stuff.
Well, cool. Well, we're going to be out all next year, my friend.
Right on. And like I said, I hope to catch you. I know you got a gig coming up in Minnesota early next year. I'm going to leave you be. Thank you very much, Tom Keifer. You the man, buddy.
Thanks, my friend. I appreciate it. You have a good day.
You bet. Back at you, bud. Take care. Bye.